Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana State, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a Mountain Man Scotch Ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right. Welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. I'm your host, Ryan Foley. He's your host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R Catcast, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have a dang sponsor in Jeremiah Johnson Brewing, brewing awesome beers in downtown Great Falls with the second tap room over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, it's the season ender, buddy. We're going to talk Bobcat football one more time for the 2021, and I guess you could put it 2022 season. We had one game in there. How you doing tonight, buddy?
Bittersweet. It feels crazy. Like we've been recording for a long time. We started this back in basically July when we went to the Big Sky Media kickoff event in Spokane. That kind of kicked off the season for us. I think this might be the 43rd episode this season when we include like the instant reaction shows. It's been absolutely crazy. But here we are. Bittersweet, like I said. Sad that the season's over. Kind of relieved a little bit that I get to take a little bit of a break from the podcast. But overall, man, I'm excited to put a bow on this season because, man, it was such a fun season, and this is going to be a fun episode to record.
Well, I agree with that. It was a really fun season. It was something I don't know if I saw coming, to be honest with you. But, the whole run to the national championship was amazing. We'll get into that, no doubt. But, yeah, 43 episodes? That's crazy to me. Like, that's just... I have no clue.
I thought
really?
I calculated
43?
that, and that could be completely wrong. But it's been a lot. We'll just leave it like that. Well,
yeah.
We doubled up the episodes this year, too. So that was something we did. So Who knows? It's been a lot, and it's going to be fun to recap our predictions like you were talking about, preseason predictions, what we got wrong. I think that'll be fun for us to do. So many podcasts and stuff, like talk about, like, they toot their own horn, what we got right. I think it'd be fun to talk about how wrong we were.
Which we are
most of the time, because, like, number one, we are fans. We're not professionals.
It's true. We're just two dudes, two dads, mainly in Montana, or excuse me, Washington, watching from afar.
That's right.
What we are. All right. All right. So some season to remember, no doubt. Let's get into the outline of the show. We're going to send off the seniors. We'll talk a little bit about the outgoing seniors and some guys we kind of have some question marks on. Are they leaving? Are they staying? We'll mention them. And then we're going to get into our thoughts on the season, do a little season recap. We'll go back and recap the schedule and not necessarily dive into the games, but Ryan and I made some predictions back in, I think it was September or early August, one of those two.
Somewhere.
And we put the pencil to the paper and push the W's and L's around, and we'll talk about those. And we have some Golden Coolie questions that we'll sprinkle in throughout the conversation. We'll try to do a better job at putting those in, like, where they fit into the conversation, not just at the very end and say, oh, man, we already talked about that. So we'll see what we can do there. And I think that's it, Ryan, right?
Sounds good. I'm sure we're missing something like we always do. We always go off on some sort of tangent. But, yeah, that's the gist of it, I think.
We have some news as well, so we'll get into news.
There's some news,
There's a couple of things we can talk about.
Some news today. Actually, a couple of things today that are kind of be interesting to talk about briefly.
All right. Well, let's talk about what's in our golden coolies.
I got the Missoula, well, the Bayern Amber from Missoula is what I'm drinking tonight.
Ooh,
classic
solid,
amber,
man.
Yeah, I love ambers.
They make good amber.
They make a good one. I never really paid much attention. I actually kind of liked their little their logo, which is like a square looking lion's head thing, angular lion head. I don't know what it is. You know what I'm talking about? Is he a lion? He looks like a lion. He's a bear.
Oh, yeah. That has a specific name for it, but I'm not sure what that specific name is right now, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, some sort of I don't know, pretty sure it's a lion, but yeah, I actually like it. It's kind of a cool little logo.
Nice, man. I don't have a beer tonight because I'm still doing my no beer for 21 days, which has been going really well. By the way, thanks for asking. I'm so glad you were concerned about that. Tonight I have something I've been mixing up in this past couple weeks. I have half club soda and half V8, and then I sprinkle in some pepper and some Alpine Touch. I have myself like a little cocktail. It's pretty tasty.
I basically put that on everything. That's my
I got a story about
Gus Tutel reading his Alpine Touch ad read. If you're familiar.
Put it on my cereal.
That's exactly right.
Sprinkle it on my cereal when I wake up. My dad, I remember living in Ohio. We lived in Ohio for a brief moment in time when I was probably like preschool. And my dad would pay me $0.25 to chug V8s. V8s come in those like little like six ounce cans.
Yeah.
He would just dare me to do it because they're not good. It's like as like a little kid, you don't want to drink a V8. He's like, no. I'll give you $0.25. I was like, dang, $0.25? All right, man. You know, I think I might go
That's
for it.
That's a lot of money back in our day. Right now, it'll buy you nothing, but it'll buy some candy. Anyway.
It was in those little cans. Do you remember? They didn't even have pop tops on it. They just had that little cellophane pull tab that you'd pull back, and it was like a little triangle. Do you remember those?
No, I didn't drink a lot of V8 growing up.
Okay, well, anyways, so I'm sitting here. Fast forward to 2022. I have a kid of my own. I have like two little boys running around the house. And I told Miles, he's my 7-year-old. I go, Miles, I'll give you $1 to chug.
Ooh, that's a good inflation rate.
Inflation's a real deal.
Yeah.
And he goes, there's no way. I was like, all right, I'll go up to $2 if you chug this whole can of V8. And he looks at me and goes, $50.
$50?
I was like,
you're raising a smart kid right there.
I
don't think you go home.
Like, no, 2 is the highest I go, Miles. And he goes, well, let me taste it first for a moment. I go, no, you just got to chug it right now. And he's like, I ain't doing it. I was like, I used to do this for $0.25. He's like, why $0.25, Dad? I was like, I don't know. Because what my dad would offer me. But I don't know.
You're raising a free thinker there, Foley, a capitalist. I like it. An entrepreneur. He knows the value of his taste buds. It's worth more than $0.25 to him.
Heck no. I'm paying you $50 to chug a V8. Come on.
No way. That's ridiculous. But I like his attempt there.
He's like, I'm out. $50. No. All right, I'm out. Okay. Well done, Miles. All right. Let's get into some news that came out today. Or, I mean, not just today. We've had some news that came out over the last couple of weeks. So we'll start with something fun. Justice Perkins earned scholarship. How about that? Woo! Good job.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome to read on Twitter here today. Definitely deserved it.
Yeah. Well done.
If you don't know,
he's going to be
Perkins is the center for the Bobcats, in case you weren't familiar with that. Awesome. As partial scholarship guy, or a preferred, I guess it'd be preferred walk-on, earned a scholarship after starting basically all year. So congratulations to Justin Perkins.
Did you see Tommy Malott make an Instagram post about that, saying my center?
I did not know. Nice, that's good. It's good to hear.
Tommy Malott doesn't say anything on social media, and he comes out today with this post saying my center, and there's a picture of Justice Perkins right there.
Gotta love it, man.
It was a little, yeah, I do love it. Just something I didn't expect from Tommy
No,
Millott there.
no, even you saying that to me right now, I was like, that's not Tommy Millott. It doesn't sound like Tommy.
Might not be. He might be paying someone to do his Instagram for him.
It's true.
He's so famous now.
Gotta get that,
man.
those followers up to get some of that NIL money.
All right. Nate Potter, our tight ends coach, moving back to Boise State. He's a Boise State alum. I thought he was going there last year. There was some chatter about him.
There was.
Moving back there last year. So not surprising on that. Well done. Well deserved.
For
we
sure.
didn't get to listen to the guy. I think I've only heard maybe 2 to 3 interviews of him. Every time I listen to him, sound like a good guy. By all means, he was a liked coach, a player's coach. And so he'll be missed. It'll be interesting to see who we hire there. But yeah, that came out today.
That did. And speaking of hires, or not hires yet, we had a question asked of us on Twitter. Jason Gum asked us, have we hired a defensive coordinator yet? I'd love to give you an answer there, Jason, but we're just in the dark, just as in the dark as everyone else is on this. So no news that I've heard on that front yet.
Dadgum.
Too quiet
for Mr. Gum.
Dadgum. Oh man. There's a
Dadgum.
offline thing that we do way too often, so let's not make them suffer along with our dadgum jokes. But no defensive coordinator yet. I'm a little surprised. I've been actually following like Twitter every day, expecting some sort of news, transfer portal, one way or the other, in or out, coaching hires. There's been very little outside of like all of a sudden Nate Potter basically announced by Boise State. Like, I'm kind of surprised that we heard nothing about that beforehand, but other than that, it's been real quiet on the news front here a couple weeks out from the national championship game. Getting pretty close to a national signing day.
Do you find that different than the way Jeff Choate handled it?
I feel like it is, but that's just a gut feeling. Like, am I correct on that? I don't know.
Felt like Jeff Choate was always like, "Hey, this is our new guy. Here it is. We're gonna make it the graphic. Everything's big, big, big." I don't know. Jeff Choate was more of production. Jeff Vegan, I almost called him Jeff Vegan. Brent Vegan is more.
Who's the one drinking?
Close to the vest. Yeah, I'm not the one drinking.
Well, also Jeff Choate
really go to my head.
Fired people mid-season and has somebody ready to fill into the spot immediately the next day. So it's still a different scenario.
That's a good point. Well stated, sir.
Is there any other news?
Right. Hey,
it seems like you had some other news that you were alluding to. Is that it? You said the last couple of weeks, but all this is today. So,
I think we probably should kind of mention some posts. Like, do you want to talk about the guys who got to go to some bowls, some senior bowls?
I would love to, but I don't have anything down in front of me though.
Yeah, I wrote some stuff down.
Okay, hit us, hit the listeners.
So let's see. Troy Andersen, Lewis Kidd got named to the Walter Camp All-America team. They were first teams. Troy Andersen, this is going to be a lot of Troy Andersen, by the way. Troy Andersen was named Phil Steele, 2021 FCS Defensive Player of the Year. He was also named the Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, if you did not know that. Troy Andersen also was the FCS ADA, the Athletic Directors Association Defensive Player of the Year. So, that's a lot of Troy Andersen right there. Phil Steele came out with his FCS All-America team as he normally does. Let's see. Daniel Hardy was on the first team. Troy Andersen was on the first team. Let's see. Afonso was second team. Lewis Kidd was second team. And then Phil Steele also has a FCS All-Freshman team in which Stones Glessner got second team on that. So that's what I have right there. I didn't have any of the bowls. I don't know why I didn't write that down, but I know the Senior Bowl was Troy Andersen, and that's a big one. Lewis Kidd and Mondre Williams, Troy Andersen, and I might be missing another senior there, but
Lance McCutcheon.
I think all those guys
something.
Lance McCutcheon. There it is. They all got invites to different bowls. So
Lewis Kidd just got one today from the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. That was actually came out here today. I'm not entirely familiar with. I'm not familiar with any of these, to be honest with you. We're just trying to give you a little bit of the news here. You're better off going on Twitter and finding all this stuff. We didn't actually write all that down, like Foley said. But congratulations to all the guys that were selected. I hope they make big impressions, and I'm hoping we have some guys in the NFL. So good luck.
So, question, Ryan: when they go to these bowls, are they actual game or are they just skill stuff?
It's a good question. I think most of them are actual games where they have coaches and they actually compete. I think they practice for like a week leading up to it. But I think some of them might just be more of a showcase type thing. I think Lewis Kidd was already in something like that, where it was more of a camp type thing. He was already in something like that, but now he's in another actual bowl, and I think these are actual games. So I think it kind of depends.
Gotcha.
I think most of them are games, but again, like I don't really follow this kind of stuff. I'm not an NFL draft kind of guy. That's not what I do.
Right on. All right, let's move this along. Let's talk about the seniors that are leaving the program.
So we just want to say, man, congratulations to the list of seniors. We didn't talk much about it in our North Dakota State recap game, but we have the big list of seniors that we want to give shout outs to that really helped make the program what it is today. They helped make this season one of the most memorable and magical seasons that Bobcat fans have had in a long, long time. These are in no particular order. I just copied these from a post on Bobcat Nation. I'm hoping they're accurate. I don't even have who put it down there, so not citing my sources. Terrible journalistic integrity here. But we got Trey Webb, senior, graduating here, a safety. Amandre Williams, defensive end. Daniel Hardy, defensive end. Troy Andersen, linebacker. Chase Benson, defensive tackle. Tyrell Thomas, cornerback. Nate Stewart, wide receiver. Lance McCutcheon, wide receiver. Ryan Davis, tight end. Taylor Tuiasosopo, offensive lineman, and Lewis Kidd, offensive lineman. Those are the list of seniors that I have down here that are graduating and moving on. And I just want to congratulate each one of them on a fantastic career at Montana State and just say thank you for being a Bobcat.
It's very cordial of you.
What?
Hey, man.
Why wouldn't it be cordial?
I don't know. It's a good point. I watched that Troy Andersen film, that highlight film that was posted on Bobcat Nation today at the end of work when I was like just sitting in my chair, just like not wanting to grade papers. It really dawned on me that we're not watching Troy Andersen next year. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to replace that guy? like that was like probably the first thought I had of that in my entire life. I was like, he filled so many holes on defense. He closed the gap so fast on so many of those tackles. How are we going to replace that? How are we going to do that?
We're going to replace his leadership, his the other intangible off the field qualities that he brought. And we'll actually talk a lot about Troy Andersen here in a minute before we move on to anything else, because we have some Golden Coolie questions about it, and it's just worth talking about. And so, but anyone else you want to kind of single out here, man? Like this is such a good list of seniors right here. Every one of these guys was a huge contributor this year. And in the case of like Lewis Kidd, Taylor Tuiasosopo, like Tyrell Thomas, Lance McCutcheon, Ryan Davis, those guys have been Chase Benson, excuse me, and Troy Andersen, obviously. So those guys have been in the program for a long time, like for 4 or 5, 6 years, or wherever COVID. I mean, Tyrell Thomas burst onto the scene as a freshman, breaking up that pass deflection at the end of the 2016 Cat Grizz game to seal it in Bozeman. Legend right off the bat. And I feel bad for the kid. He had kind of an injury-riddled senior year, or he lost favor with the coaches, or a combination of A and B. I don't know, but wasn't, I'm sure, the senior year he was hoping for. But man, he had a solid career as a Bobcat. I just want to, give a little shout out to Tyrell Thomas here.
Yeah, good point on that. Think of Lewis Kidd and just watching him grow into his body, essentially, and then watching his hair grow over the 4 or 5 seasons. He was such a good ambassador for Montana State as well. I know, like, when he becomes, his future NFL self, and then he gets out there, we talked to him. He talked about wanting to do stuff with kids. Can you imagine Lewis Kidd as a gym teacher?
Yes.
Elementary gym teacher.
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
He'd be the personality for it, but he's a very, very large man.
Yeah. So I'm really happy for all these lists of guys. Even guys like Trey Webb, kid from San Diego. No, excuse me. What college did Trey come from? Yeah, San Jose. There he is. Who was a first teamer and then comes over to Montana State kid who was looking to go to Notre Dame out of all the schools. Such a cool story. I was just so happy that he had such a important role in our defense.
He was
and
crucial.
That we
this
got
year,
to
really.
got to the national championship with his help. I'm sure he looks at this year positively as he exits Montana State.
And then you got guys like Lance McCutcheon and Daniel Hardy, who've been in the program forever, just had a lot of playing time. Either they were still developing, they had very talented guys in front of them, but for them to stick around to their senior year, and both of them had just breakout senior years, like massive All-American type senior years. Lance McCutcheon broke like the single season yardage record at Montana State. Daniel Hardy was an absolute animal, All-American type stuff there. You got to give credit to those kinds of guys who just stuck around, developed, and did the right way, and they earned everything they got this year.
All right. Hey, Ryan, there's a list of guys here that we don't know, but we've heard. Do you want to talk about those guys as well?
Yeah, so these are basically we know. I'm pretty positive Tucker Rovig has come out and said he's not returning. He's only a junior. I don't have the years listed here, but obviously they're not seniors according to the depth chart. But COVID has made this very confusing, or guys who are injured. But these are guys that Ty Okada specifically called out in his post-game press conference after the championship game as guys he wanted to thank that aren't coming back. So Kyle Rigg, who was the starter defensive tackle this year before he was injured, so maybe he's got just injuries. I'm not sure what's going on there, but Kyle Rigg is rumored to not be coming back, according to Ty Okada. Taden Gilman is a linebacker from Bozeman. Is he from Bozeman?
That's about right.
Dylan Porter, offensive lineman, who's been in and out of the rotation. We got Byron Rollins, who played a pretty solid role this year, which actually would be nice to have him come back, but pretty sure he went on a mission, so he's probably like 24 or 25 at this point. Then you got Peyton Hanser, wide receiver from, I want to say, Billings, who a lot of people had big expectations for, but never, I don't even think he ever got a single catch in his career. But anyway, those are the guys that we've heard aren't coming back, but don't quote us on that. Those aren't confirmed. Tucker Rovig, I think, would be the one that I would confirm is not coming back, because he has said himself, unless he can be talked into coming back, I think he's done.
And he could have one of those roles where he hold on, he could have one of those roles where he's like a grad assistant on Montana State, and then we need him 6 games in and
puts his helmet back on,
locker room,
like we talked about the Zeb Noland who transferred from North Dakota State to South Carolina as a grad assistant and ended up playing. I didn't know that was a thing that could happen. But can we talk about Tucker Rovig for a minute, man? Because we need to give Tucker Rovig some credit here before we move on to anything else. How big was it him coming in for the national championship game, sticking around the program, like losing his job over and over? Like, he's going to be the guy he's passed up. He's going to be the guy he's passed up. Could have transferred, could have just quit football like many other players might have done. Stuck around. We needed him in the national championship. He came in and he played admirably. He's been a consummate teammate in the entire year. Just huge props to Tucker Rovig. What a guy. What a good captain. What a good ambassador for Montana State. Very happy for everything that came to Tucker Rovig here this season.
Quintessential teammate, quintessential Bobcat. Very proud of the guy. We always rooted for him on this show, on this podcast. I remember when oh my gosh, when Matt McKay left, I was calling for Tucker Rovig, and Tommy Mollak comes on the scene. Oh yeah, must have been a tough year for him, but a rewarding year as well, because I think he got a taste of what's to come for him. He was our quarterbacks coach. He was the guy on the sideline, bringing in McKay, bringing in Mollak, giving them guidance. That's what he wants to do.
Yep.
So I think this worked out really well for him, honestly.
I hope if he jumps right into coaching, why not be a grad coach right here in Bozeman?
Exactly.
Hopefully that works out. All right, so we're still talking about seniors. We're still talking about players. You want to talk a little bit more Troy Andersen? We have to talk a little bit Troy Andersen. You mentioned the highlight video that he didn't put out, but that was put out by a poster on Bobcat Nation's Son. I don't have the name of the poster at the moment, but I've been waiting.
A new poster.
I've been waiting years for someone to put out highlights of Troy Andersen. I just wanted to see some of those crazy runs from his record-setting like a QB power season, right? Like I wanted to see some of those runs again. Like they're just the highlights just don't exist.
I forgot how fast he
right.
was.
He was so fast. He still is fast. Like I'm not sure he's quite as fast because he's bulked up some, but he could probably still do a lot of those things. Let's be honest. And just watching some of those games, like in Portland State, where he rushed for like 211 yards, if I'm going off my terrible memory here, somewhere in that range, north of 200. Man, it was kind of fun reliving that. Just watching a highlight reel where a guy takes handoffs, he throws passes, he rushes for touchdowns from the Wildcat quarterback spot, and then he's all of a sudden, he's on defense now. He's just crunching dudes. Like, what a crazy highlight package.
I think this is a good time to talk about the Golden Coolie question of Troy Andersen.
Yes.
And let me see if I can find that in front of you, Thorny.
Sure. Is he your favorite Bobcat of all time before we even get any further?
No. My favorite Bobcat of all time is still Travis Lulay.
Lulay, yeah. I'm sure that kind of your favorite player kind of just relates to when you went up through the school, right? Chances are your favorite player is going to be someone that was there when you were in school. I think that's probably pretty common. But yes, go ahead.
Golden Coolie question from Pat Laird. I believe I said that right. Off of Twitter. So how long until number 15 is retired by MSU? It's a very select group, and Troy is definitely worthy, in my opinion.
I don't know the timeline for retiring jerseys, but I absolutely think we should retire 15.
Yeah. Did they retire Lulay's number?
They did not. It's actually I was researching this today, and I didn't actually take any notes on it. Pretty sure it's Jan Stenrud, Bill Collar, Sonny Holland, and Don Haas are the only players who've had their numbers retired in Montana State history. And I was actually thinking, like, did all those guys win national championships? And no, that's actually not the criteria. I was thinking, like, well, Troy didn't win a national championship, so was he automatically disqualified kind of here? Because, yeah, you got guys like Travis Lulay or even Denarius McGee who would be good candidates, in my opinion. Just from what Troy has meant to the program and the absolutely crazy career he's had all 4 years. It's not like he just came on at the end. I mean, you got to retire it, right? He's a Montana kid. He wore the same number his entire career. It just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, if you don't retire Troy's jersey, then what are you?
Then who do you retire?
Yeah, exactly. Recapping it at that point, because he probably is the greatest Bobcat of all time.
I would say so. And I don't know how these things are influenced. I don't actually know when the first opportunity to retire is. It X amount of years that it has to pass? But whatever it comes to vote, he's going to be in the NFL. He's probably going to be playing pretty well in the NFL. I'm hoping that. I think that influences these kinds of things. This isn't like a Walter Payton Award where you have to vote based on their regular season stats. Like you're gonna take into account that he went on the NFL. So I think you have to, man. I don't know. The original question is how long. I think Pat's assuming it will be. I have no idea. I don't know the time frame, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think within 1 to 2 years, we'll have a big ceremony.
I'm hoping there's even no number 15 next year.
Heck no. They won't touch it. Those players won't touch it. They'll be like, that's Troy's number.
That's right.
That's off limits. So yeah, I think that's going to happen. I think that's a done deal. Let's consider that a done deal. And if it's not, that has to be, really. I mean, that's just no question.
How about a statue?
A statue, Troy? Now that's getting a little bit heavy.
How is that more heavy? Is it? Yeah, I guess it is more heavy than just a jersey. But there was that, you read the article about the teammates pushing for Troy to have a statue already while still playing football. Like he was just that beloved, man. I think that's another thing. It wasn't some just guy who was all about him for 4 years. Like it was about the team. Everyone loved him. I mean, if any player in my lifetime is going to get a statue, it's Troy. I don't know if he's going to, but
I'm not ready for the statue quite yet. I think maybe if Troy goes on to the NFL and becomes some sort of myth, or if he let's say he like saves 3 kids in like a house fire or something.
That's what it takes to get it.
Does something heroic.
What's that to do with
and then we can
statue in front of Bobcat Stadium?
Well, you got Sonny Holland out there.
Did he save some people from a fire?
Oh no,
I love Sonny Holland, but I didn't realize.
Where do you put it then? Like, so if you got Sonny Holland, where do you put the Troy statue?
I don't know, man.
So what would you put it up? Like, if the statue of Troy, would you have him like high-kneeing through some guy's face?
Yeah.
Like
the classic, like the galloping, purebred Troy stance.
Had a thought today about the national championship game after watching those Troy highlights. You know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I do not. Actually.
If we put Troy in for quarterback in the national championship game after Tommy gets hurt, what do you think about that?
Oh, I was not prepared for that question. The game could be closer. I mean, honestly, the defense got trucked. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Maybe they would have gotten trucked worse with Troy, but it's hard to imagine them getting trucked worse. 4 touchdowns in the first half and the touchdown on the first drive of the second half. Maybe the offense would have helped stymie some stuff if they were able to score some points and eat some time off the clock. I don't know. Good question. It couldn't have been worse.
It could not have been worse. So, yeah, you couldn't use him on defense though because
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if the defense couldn't have. I hate to say it, the defense couldn't have played much worse.
Good point, man. Well, I think it was North Dakota State. Man, they just exposed us.
Yeah, it did. They went after Troy.
North Dakota State's so good.
So why not put Troy on defense?
Let's build a statue.
So, are you disappointed? This is another Golden Coolie question here from Colorado Cat on Bobcat Nation. Are you disappointed that Troy only had 1 touchdown in his senior season and it was on defense?
Oh, absolutely. For sure. He missed a couple pick six. One at Weber and then another at Eastern Washington. As far as offensive touchdowns, we have so many offensive playmakers. I didn't need to see Troy galloping through teams and running down the sideline again. That there was nothing in me that needed to like satisfy.
Okay, so I see your point. I was going to say absolutely no, I'm not disappointed. But I could see being disappointed because he has opportunities slip right through his fingers where he could have scored. But no, I'm not disappointed that his only touchdown was on defense because it showed that he was able to finally focus on one position and not be like ran into the ground and overused, whatever. I was happy the way his senior year went. It was historic. He played great. He got better and better as the season went on. That one touchdown definitely brought back flashbacks. Like, oh man, I enjoy watching Troy score some touchdowns. But you know what? Overall, I'm not disappointed. Honestly, I'm happy with the way that the season turned out for Troy and the Bobcats.
Wow, Troy Andersen.
This is the last time we're going to talk about Troy Andersen, man.
Oh, 2018, I remember just being kind of peeved that we talked about Troy Andersen all the stinking time, and now I'm here 2022 thinking, dadgum. This is it. This is it.
I mean, if we would have started the podcast 1 year before that, we would have been talking about nothing but Troy Andersen on this podcast. So we even missed a whole season about talking about him. But yeah, you're right, man. Like, I felt like it's all we talked about, and now I'm going to be sad that we're not going to talk about him anymore. So pour out one of your mocktail drinks for Troy Andersen.
Good job at sprinkling in those Golden Coolie questions.
Yeah. I think it's something we got to try and do moving forward. I think it'll make our show a little bit more better flow.
We used to do it.
We did. But that was all me just doing it manually. I'm putting it in the document now. So anyway, there we go. Anything else you want to say about Troy Andersen or any of the seniors before we move on to kind of, I think we'll go right back to our season predictions and see where we landed. But anything else you want to say about the senior class or the players that are no longer going to be part of the program for various reasons?
Not really. I'm just very proud of them. It's been interesting because we started this podcast in 2018. So these guys have been part of the narrative of your conversations week in and week out, and see some of them graduating now. It gives you a little bit of like, pause to me. You're like, well done, guys. But now it's not time for the new class to step up. New crop of seniors to come through, and I guess that's just going to be the story coming, year in and year out for us.
Like the picture that you screen captured and we tweeted out, passing in the guard.
Yeah, good point.
All right, so you want to jump into our? Do you want to do some of the top storylines from the season, or do you just want to go straight into our preseason predictions and where we were right or wrong? What do you think it makes more sense right now?
Probably the predictions. I mean, I don't feel like we need to go back and rehash anything about Jeff Cho leaving or season being canceled by COVID. All those happened and put a weird arc to this season because we just waited for the season to happen for so long. I mean, let's just acknowledge that right off the bat. But I think we go right into start of Wyoming. Let's talk about a little bit about our predictions, and we'll play around in that land for a while.
Do you want to go game by game? Is that what you're thinking of?
I think we already did that.
We already did that for the how did the Bobcats get to Frisco episode.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of
do that,
yeah, if you want to go hear us kind of recap the games and how we were feeling at the time, we did that in the Montana State Path to Frisco episode of before the national championship game. But we'll just kind of first start with, I think, our overall predictions for this season. And I have that written down here, fully flashing something up. What?
I have it written down in my old media guide.
Media guide. If you don't know, Foley's holding up something on the camera. We video conference each other here, so he's distracted by that. But Ryan Foley picked, I believe, 8-3. Is that what you have over there?
Yes.
With losses to Wyoming, to Weber State, and to Eastern Washington. And
correct.
Ryan Thorny, picked 9-2, losses to Wyoming and Weber State. I will put in a big caveat here that I was actually going to pick us losing to the Grizz, but I decided I can't do that on this podcast no matter how I actually feel about the matter, so I picked us to win it. But in reality, I would have picked 8-3 with losses to Weber, Wyoming, and the Grizz if I wouldn't have come to the conclusion that I just can't do that. But yeah, 9-2. So I win the closest final record, obviously, because it was identical to the final record. So meh. But we were both actually pretty close. We didn't go any further than that playoffs or anything, but yeah, that's pretty exciting. I see us both be optimistic, pick pretty good records, and then the Bobcats hit the mark.
I thought for sure we'd lose at Eastern Washington. That was probably my highlight of the regular season, was being those guys in Cheney.
And Eastern was good this year too. It's not like Eastern had a crap year and we just caught them on a down year. We were actually went into Cheney and beat a highly ranked team and a team that ended up making the playoffs and winning a playoff game. That was a huge win. But I remember calling it in the preseason episode where we were talking about this. I'm like, this is the year, man. We get the monkey off the back. We go to Cheney and we just do it. We take care of business. Complete, no logic behind that. I just gut feeling. So.
And we play Eastern in Cheney again next year.
You going this year? Next year? Yeah, this year, 2022.
I don't know, man. I wanted to go this year, and then I knew I was going to be a nervous Nelly the whole game, and I chickened out, but I went to the alumni event, so I probably should go.
You should, man. You should.
Hey, let's get into our postseason, or excuse me, let's get into the preseason episode where we talked about, and specifically, let's just talk about where we were wrong.
Yeah, there's some doozies in here. This is where we went kind of on the roster. We talked about personnel and who we thought would contribute and who wouldn't contribute. This is not the prediction episode. I don't remember actually what the name of this episode was, but I went back and re-listened to it just to make sure we had some content for this episode. Where do you want to start, man? I think we were both relatively good, but there's one glaring thing I said, obviously, here that I'm sure you're just chomping at the bit to tell everyone here. Let's just start off there.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong because who saw this coming? It was about Tommy Mellott. Tommy Mellott being a fifth string quarterback at the time, and Thorny said, "I don't see Tommy Mellott factoring in much at QB this year."
Which was relatively accurate until Matt McKay got benched. But yeah, that's looking back on that. I'm like, yeah, clearly.
And he becomes
It's a
Like,
freshman
the story of
phenom.
the season.
Yeah. Top storyline of the season, probably Tommy Milot, to be honest. Yeah, we both predicted that Tucker Rovig would win back the job after the spring episode. We said this back in the spring that we think that whoever starts wouldn't last the whole year and Rovig would win back the job. But we kind of felt we were kind of accurate on that. The starting quarterback didn't make it the whole year. It just wasn't Rovig who took his spot. So for some reason, we both decided that whoever won the starting quarterback role wasn't going to make it the whole year. I don't know why.
We both thought the wide receiver room was stacked, and it was. Thing where I thought I was wrong was I thought Jaden Smith would be a bigger part of the offense. I didn't see all the balls going to Lance McCutcheon and Willie Patterson. I thought we'd spread around the wealth a little bit more. I was a little bit wrong on that.
Yeah, I had my breakout offensive player was Jaden Smith. And clearly it didn't happen. And there's obviously time for him to turn into that. He's only a freshman, but just kind of funny looking back on who we thought would be good. You had Ty Okada as your defensive player breakout. Smart choice. And on offense, though, you had Jahari Martin and Elijah Elliott. You mentioned them both. And I guess Martin would be the bigger choice there because he was a successful fullback. Elliott didn't do a lot. Now, that wasn't his fault. He didn't get any touches, but clearly neither one of those guys were like a breakout worthy at this point, I don't think. And I picked Daniel Hardy defensively, and then, Jaden Smith, offense. Defensively, we were spot on. Offense.
I thought you picked Troy Andersen for the defensive MVP.
This is the breakout players.
Oh,
this is different.
Breakout players.
We also picked the players of the year on both sides of the ball, which we both chose Isaiah Afonso, preseason offensive MVP. Good choice there. I think that was accurate.
Yeah.
You chose Daniel Hardy for your defensive MVP, and I chose Troy Andersen. Also both. Yeah, Troy. No, we're not going to be able to whisper that anymore. The whispers of Troy. Gone. One thing that I wanted to mention that you were wrong about. I was talking about Logan Jones, and you told me that Lane Sumner to you feels a lot like Logan Jones, and you're not concerned about replacing Logan Jones. I think this year proved that Logan Jones was more valuable than I think people gave him credit for, because he could attack the edge like nobody else on the roster can. Personally, you weren't that wrong. You weren't glaringly wrong, but I just wanted to. We're trying to point out wrong stuff. You didn't make a lot of bold predictions in that episode, so that's what I came up with.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, and the reason why I say that is like, how many touches is Afonso getting compared to everybody else?
I don't think anybody saw that coming either, because we both thought the running back room was stacked. We both said that, and maybe it is, but no one got an opportunity to prove that. Another thorny, funny thing here. I don't think we're going to see very much Wildcat quarterback. Yeah,
we didn't.
Well, we saw a fair amount. Tell me what. I mean, I guess we saw it in the later part of the season.
Yeah,
but we saw it more than I thought we would. But I guess I was right. We didn't see it very much in the normal course of the season until things kind of required something else to get the offense.
Hey, Ryan, do you want to go down the whole about a dual quarterback system for a little bit, or do you want to shelf that?
What do you mean? Like, what are we going to do next?
My question, yeah, next year.
Do we have a question about that?
No, I was just thinking about this earlier today, though. Does Montana State run a dual quarterback system next year?
I mean, we kind of did this year. More and more as the season went on until it was all Tommy. But Tommy can't do that.
You got John Chambers coming in.
Yeah, Tommy can't run the ball 20 times a game. I don't think he can do that for a whole season. I think we have to do a dual quarterback system just to keep Tommy fresh if he's going to be that much of a running quarterback. I don't know how much it's going to be, but yeah, I kind of see us I want to say what North Dakota State did, but that's kind of not really accurate because neither Sean Chambers or I assume Sean Chambers would be the guy in this scenario because I don't think a guy from the FBS program is going to transfer to Montana State to do nothing. So if it's going to be like a Chambers Malott type situation, they're just going to run the ball, both of them.
Yeah,
to keep the other one fresh to be able to run the ball. So yeah, I can see a situation. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of think I was kind of leaning into that, thinking that might be a possibility. There's some big questions I have about the quarterback. I don't feel like we probably should talk about it right now. We'll get into that. I don't know when, right? But probably during the spring game, and we'll recap that when it comes around.
That's good. It's a good thought. We're gonna do definitely some 2022 preview stuff here. I don't know when, but we're gonna keep this mostly focused about 2021 here. But that's a good question moving into next year for sure. Big question, especially with Tommy's injury.
Big question. Yep.
Big question. I do want to give myself one little pat on the back before we move on here. I did say, and I quote, "This is Lance McCutcheon's year to really take the reins and be a productive receiver."
You did say that.
Booyah! Called that one. Yeah, that's about the only thing I really put out there that I'm confident I feel good about, like nailed it type situation from that episode.
I had a big gaffe. I said I don't know if Troy might not ever be Troy again.
Yeah.
And he had a badass season.
Troy 2.0, defensive Troy.
So, I was also really concerned in that episode about replacing Conkle and
me too.
Jacque.
Actually.
And Jeffrey Manning and Trey Webb did a fantastic job. I thought they played probably even better in a lot of respects.
I mean, we had Jacque Allen, Braden Conkle, and JoJo Henderson last year. Like, that was a hell of a trio of safeties. JoJo, I thought, was a very underrated player for Montana State when he was playing. But then this year we got Ty Okada, Trey Webb, and Jeff Manning. Boom. What about next year?
All in all, I thought we did. Yeah. Ooh,
yeah. No, let's not talk about it. Let's not think about that, because that's going to be another situation where we're going to have to figure out how to replace some very talented secondary players.
Well, Jeff Manning will still be there.
He will. And Ty Okada. I guess it's just Trey Webb.
And Ryan Lenore.
Yeah, there you go. Ryan Lenore, Trey Webb. Kudos to Trey Webb, man.
Pretty good. All in all, Thorning, I thought we did pretty good in our predictions. We had a couple glaring mistakes, but who could have ever tell? We didn't know Brent Vegan. We didn't know how the whole season would unfold. And man, looking back right now, obviously super happy about the season. I was slow. I want to talk a little bit right now about the Brent Vegan train. I think you and I were both kind of slow to warm to Brent Vegan. We wanted to. We kept looking for it every week. The narrative we would talk about is like, do you trust him more? Do you trust him more? And it kept like, yes, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And I think by South Dakota State, which is right before the national championship, I was full Coach Vegan.
See, for me, it was earlier than that. And Cat Grizz definitely soured that little bit, but I wasn't like jumping off the ship like some people were on Bobcat Nation, like, he doesn't get Cat Grizz. So, like, this guy's never going to get it. Like, what's the point? I think you were slower to come around, Brent Vegan, because I think you just had a slower coming to terms with Jeff Choate not being our coach anymore. But it took some time. Like, I was positive from the beginning, and he just kept winning and winning. But I think it was really after the Eastern Washington win, because that was a game I felt that we haven't been able to win in the previous staff, and Brent Vegan got his guys up for that game. And we played really well, even though we could play better. We still won the game. Like, it was such a good win, and I just felt good. Like, at this point, we've beaten Weber State, we've beaten Eastern Washington, two teams that we've just couldn't get over the hump with. At that point, I was like, Brent Vegan, man. I'm giving a lot of this credit to Brent Vegan, and I'm on board right now.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering who he's going to hire for DC and all the spots that we have to fill.
Yeah. So it's been a roller coaster for Bobcat fans, giving off the Jeff Choate train and getting onto the Brent Vegan train. But man, Brent Vegan took us all the way to the national championship. I don't care. You can make all this argument about the talent wasn't his, recruit, blah, blah, blah. He still was the head coach. He still made the game plan adjustments, all these kinds of things to get us to the national championship. He deserves a ton of credit. And I think we're both big fans of his at this point. And I can't wait to see what the program can do in the coming years.
All right. Favorite memories.
All right. So let's, do you want to start off with some Golden Coolie or some listener submitted memories before we get into our own stuff here?
Sure.
So Colorado Cat, a good listener of ours. Thanks again for Colorado Cats for submitting these. He has two favorite moments to the Gold Rush run out. The first time out of the new building, the first time since 2019. Horses, Gold Rush. So great to have Bobcat football back. I mean, that's an underrated part of the season. We missed an entire season of Bobcat football.
Yeah.
That sucked. That sucked. Just
totally
coming back and just being, and this wasn't like he's talking about Gold Rush, but man, just that Wyoming game. I'm watching Bobcat football right now. It was almost surreal. I was just excited, but the home game, you and I were there. I can't even argue with that. Just the first home game in Bobcat Stadium after COVID, all that blah blah cancellation stuff. It's got to be one of the highlights of the season. And the other one he has on here is the South Dakota State game from start to finish. Probably the greatest experience just about any of us have ever had in the stadium. Super bummed that we didn't go to that game. I'm super bummed I wasn't there. But even like watching on TV, that's still probably the top experience I've had watching a Bobcat game ever. Just ever.
I would agree with that. It was magical. I was in tears. We talked about that.
I mean, we went to the national championship.
Yeah.
Beating the Grizz is like that's euphoria for Bobcat fans, but I didn't know what it felt like to have a game that was on the line to go to the national championship. I mean, we had it in 2019 against North Dakota State, but to actually be in the game and have it within reach and then getting that was just cloud nine. Oh my God. Never had that feeling as a Bobcat fan. It was insane.
And the interesting part to me, Ryan, is when we got to that point and we were in that game, even after like Sam Houston, it erased all the bad memories of the Cat Grizz for me. Like that game just seemed like an isolated event. It seemed like the final straw for Matt McKay. It was just, I don't know how to put it now, but like I look back on that game, I'm like, we lost that game. Big deal, right? It doesn't affect me. Like the whole playoff run totally erased any feelings of the Cat Grizz to me. And in fact, I didn't even think about the Cat Grizz at all, hardly during the month of December or January. That wasn't like a part of my like thought about Montana State. It was all playoff, all Tommy Malott, all like this fantastic run through these awesome teams. And it was just erased everything about the Cat Grizz.
Yeah,
it just reified in me like, I feel like the fans make the Cat Grizz more than it actually is. It's a cool game, no doubt. It's the Brawl of the Wild. It should be celebrated. It is a tough game. But this, to me, the taste of winning or going to the national championship, I will take that every year if we don't beat the Grizz. I mean, if we could go to the national championship every year and get this march to the playoffs, I would take that. If you had to choose losing to the Grizz and making it, I would go to making it every year.
I mean,
every year.
That just shows you how amazing that win was, because losing Cat Grizz is like one of the worst heartbreaks you'll have as a Bobcat fan. It just sucks.
Yeah.
No matter, even if you're 2-8 going into the game and you losing the game, it's still just like bleh. But that beating South Dakota State just completely wiped that. I don't even care.
Yeah, right.
Grizz fans can talk all the crap they want. Like, I don't care.
They weren't even.
I do not care. Yeah. Like, we're going to the national championship game. Nothing else matters to this point. It's a whole new feeling, man. It was amazing. So agreed. 100% agreed.
And those Grizz fans knew. They're like, damn it, we're not even playing this weekend, and the Cats just won't beat South Dakota State on ESPN. Shit. Yeah.
They could talk all the crap they want. I didn't even care. Didn't even respond to it. I'm just like, cock of the walk, man. It's like, who cares? Who cares what you think? One more here from ND0479 on Bobcat Nation. He said one of his favorite plays of the season was actually Matt McKay's touchdown run against Eastern Washington. He said it's kind of what he was expecting to see from him all season, so he was just happy when he did it, but then he watched Tommy do it like 15 times. But agreed, man. Like that was kind of like,
that's a big moment.
What Matt McKay was capable of in so many ways, and he just couldn't quite keep that high level of play. But he had a great game against Eastern Washington, and that was not just throwing the ball, but running the ball. And like, if he could have played like that the whole year, I mean, who knows how it ends up if he doesn't lose Cat Grizz, he doesn't get benched. Maybe we don't make the national championship, whatever. But that was definitely a highlight. Like that was a moment.
Tone setting.
Yeah, tone setting in that game. Like, hey, man, can we beat Eastern Washington? Because even at that point, I made that preseason prediction that we're going to beat them. I'm not super confident going into that game, but that was something that definitely sparked me and gave me hope. And man, people like to dog on Matt McKay and how it went down, but he got us to where we were, and we wouldn't be the national championship if it wasn't for Matt McKay. And that plays against Eastern Washington was very exciting to watch as a Bobcat fan. So, I would definitely put that in one of my top plays of the season for sure.
Tone setting play. I think it was the first touchdown of that game. It gave me a shot of, hey, we got this.
A Vim?
Vim. Give me a shot of Vim. Good one. I haven't thought about that one. All right.
Yeah, for
Let's
sure.
think about ours.
I mean,
favorite moment.
Go ahead. I got nothing.
So I got two. The whole Sam Houston State game. Because I knew going into that game, I was feeling so down. You and I, we talked about this plenty of times, texting throughout the week. We're going to get buried. We're going to get buried. We whooped those guys, and it felt so good, especially after losing those guys in 2011, 12, whatever years those were back then. Holy smokes. And that was on my birthday, too. So that was like a perfect birthday present for me. And then South Dakota State. I think that has to be my all-time favorite part of this year, hands down. It was an amazing game. The aftermath too, seeing all the amazing media that came out, hearing if you want to play in Texas, you have to have a fiddler in the band, just blaring over the loudspeakers, and
cool.
Our announcer saying, "Your Bobcats are going to the national championship," and I was like, "Oh, I still get goosebumps." I just did a poor reenactment of it, but that whole moment, man, ooh, yeah, chills still, buddy.
I can't, yeah. I mean, that's top 3 Bobcat moments for me all time, if not the top. Like, that was just...
Ooh, top 3, man. That's big. Now I want to go down that path.
In a lot of ways. Because of just the moment of it, the impact, the importance of it for the program, for everything, for the players, for the stadium being electric like it was, like it just... The confluence of everything coming together is unmatched in a lot of ways. So we've talked, I mean, that's obviously there. Sam Houston State, I'm glad you mentioned that because number 1 team in the country, man. I don't care if they're overrated or whatever. They were number 1 team in the country. We went on the road in the playoffs and just pounded them. Like how?
They don't lose at home either.
They don't lose at home. That was their
30-game winning streak.
That was, I think, their first loss in the playoffs at home.
Yes.
So we sent them out of the FCS to the FBS with their only loss in the history of Bowers, I think it's Bowers Stadium, in the playoffs, courtesy of your Montana State Bobcats and Tommy Lott. How cool is that, right? Like
that first half was magical. Holy smokes.
Magical. Like
28-0.
I've never seen the Bobcats just pounce on a team like that. Like at that point, is that where I made the tweet? Like, I'm so full of vim, I need to change my shirt. Was that the Sam Houston State game?
I think
I
it
was so
man.
hyped, man. Like 28-0. I'm just like, it's like one of the most like just Hulk like moments I've had as a Bobcat fan. I was just so hyped up right then, man. It was crazy. So we've talked about we talked about that. The last thing I want to mention, Weber State, man, that kid's overlooked.
Really?
I think, yeah. That was an ugly game. It was nasty. It was an ugly win, but that was a game like you knew Weber State was struggling, but that was still a game. We were going down to Ogden. I didn't think we could win that game in the moment. Going to that game, and that really was the first win that set off the chain of what I've been calling all season, getting the monkeys off the back, monkey toss in season or whatever. That was the first monkey off the back, man. That kind of set the foundation for the rest of the big wins. We had to knock that one out before we could knock out Cheney, Eastern Washington, before we could knock out, big playoff wins, going to national championship, semifinal wins, all these things. That was the first one. And to get that done, I think was so crucial to the rest of the season's success because you wouldn't have been where we were if we weren't able to beat Weber State in Ogden, even though, Weber State didn't finish as high as they would like. Huge win. I was very, very excited at in that moment. I mean, I have to throw that in there as one of my favorite moments of the season.
Kind of was a big domino that fell in the season right there.
They're the first one.
Yeah. Good point, Ryan.
So, and then the other highlights, obviously, just Tommy Lott, man. Just seeing this kid that I was like super hesitant about, like, man, he's gonna make his first playoff start or his first start of the season in the playoffs. I don't know, man. I don't know about this.
How much ass did the Bobcats in general just start kicking when Tommy Mellott started being our quarterback?
All of the asses.
When you look back through our playoffs, we just look like a different team. The guys were just more energized. We had a different level of panache. We had a different level of give me the word, Ryan.
Oh, swagger.
Physicality, just like confidence maybe that came out of us. Cats were on fire throughout the playoffs.
They were.
What a time to hit the gas pedal coming off the Cat Grizz when we were all feeling pretty down about ourselves. And then we just kicked some ass.
I mean, that's kind of
took names.
Something we need to talk a little bit about. Just the roller coaster of that. So down after Cat Grizz. We got pounded in Missoula. There's no sugarcoating it. I was not optimistic about the playoffs at that point. But, man, just to go on the biggest tear that the Bobcats have ever gone on in the playoffs, like, just whooping people, man. The closest game was South Dakota State, 14 points. That was the closest margin of victory in those playoffs run. Crazy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, just the lows of that, because things were kind of angling down towards the low. Because we just hadn't been playing very well. We were just kind of eking out victories. They came to a crash in Missoula. And you're just like, oh, well, we're in the playoffs, so let's see what we can do. Boom, just skyrocket straight back up. What a roller coaster of emotions that was.
Yeah, right. But then all came crashing down in the halt when we played North Dakota State again.
That's all right.
Those stinking Bison. Man, we suck against the Bison. We literally just played terrible against the Bison.
Yeah, they just have our number.
I think it's because we tried to be the Bison. At one point, we need to just be Montana State. I don't know what that means right now. I know we've been trying to model our program after North Dakota State, but I was kind of thinking about this. Like, when do we stop trying to be like them and start trying to be like us? I don't know what that really means, but like, we can't always try to be about North Dakota State.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to know. We lost Tommy Mellott, our starting quarterback in that game. So
North Dakota State's not going to be anybody besides them. They're the champions. They're going, who are we going to be? We're going to be us. Where's Montana State thinking right now? We got to be more like North Dakota State.
Well,
Is that a good thing?
We were a different version of the Bobcats when Tommy Mellott was quarterback. That's something we hadn't seen.
We would still lose that game, though.
Yeah, I mean, we probably would have. But I'm just saying, like, we weren't trying to out-Bison the Bison. We were doing something different with Tommy Mellott. Tommy Mellott's like nothing the Bison have rolled out, ever.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks to end this episode on a down note, though. Nice job.
Put that narrative.
Good job, Fully. All right. Anything else we want to talk about on the season recap? Let's go through our notes here and make sure we hit everything. We're about an hour in. I think we're doing just fine. I got nothing else, man.
I'm super stoked for Coach Vegan. I want to see what's coming up, man. I think this guy's going to be gold for Montana State.
I agree, man. It was pretty compelling to watch him like be teary-eyed about talking about when he first got here and talking to the guys about having them, and then they had the belief in him and buying into his system. He was getting all teary-eyed in the post-game press conference for the North Dakota State championship game. If you haven't watched that, go back and listen to it and watch that. Like, if you weren't a believer in Brent Vegan, I think you have to be after watching that. So yeah, I'm excited for him, man. I'm excited to see where the Bobcats can head in under his direction.
Can't wait to see the guys we sign, some guys we pick up off the transfers. We have some big holes to fill. Our defensive line needs to get stocked up with some big bodies. Our offensive line needs to continue to build those bodies. We got some good guys coming up. I mean, there's a lot to talk about coming into 2022.
There is.
I can't wait to go. Let's talk about next week. Let's go right for it, man. Let's get into the episode. Break down the games.
I know.
I'm just joking.
Well, it's kind of crazy. Like, signing day is going to be coming up. Spring football is going to happen real quick. Like, we never played football this late into a season, and all of a sudden it's going to be like the next season before we know it. We weren't done in like November or December. Like, man, we played all the way into January. Here we are. It's going to be upon us before we know it, so we don't have to wait as long as normal. So take solace in that.
winter workouts will start soon. We'll probably be getting some information on just like the social medias about like guys lifting. So, yeah, if you want to look at dudes lifting weights, pay attention to the Instagrams and Twitters, and you're going to get excited because you'll see some of your favorite players looking all sweaty and ripped in there. It's going to be it'll be the fodder on the message board, right? You're going to go to Bobcat Nation and be like, what's going on? Nothing's going to be happening for a long time. So it's just the stark reality of that setting in. So we just got to wait.
Any commentary on the 2021 season? Any final comments?
Yeah, man, it's one of my favorite seasons on Bobcat football.
My favorite.
I mean, it was tough, like you said, it was tough losing to the Grizz, but like right now, that seems like such an afterthought of what we accomplished.
Just the experience of going to the national championship, being there in person, you and I, it just makes you, it kind of changes your perspective on like what you think the Bobcat program could or should be. Like, I want to be back there. Like I want to get back there, right? Like, I don't want to just go to the quarterfinals and lose. Like, I want to go back to the national championship. I got that in my system now. It can be hard to get it out.
I know. I don't want to minimize the Cat Grizz because now I feel like if we go into the Cat Grizz and we lose, my mentality shifted, just like you said. Like, well, okay, we lost that game. Can we get right for the playoffs? Yeah. Are we going to make the run?
Kind of funny that both North Dakota State and Montana State both lost their rivalry games. Kind of funny.
Correct. And the most important part, Ryan, is now we have that taste in our mouth. We know what it takes to make the run.
That's right.
Even after a loss in the Cat Grizz. There's no like, well, what if? We've done it now. So the guys on the squad, they can teach the younger guys, hey, this is what it looks like. This is how it feels. This is what we need to do to prepare. I'm excited, man. Can't wait to get back to the playoffs again next year.
Just another step in the evolution of the winning culture at Montana State.
Absolutely. National championships are coming, my friend.
Let's do it. Let's do it, Brent Vigan.
That's the way we end the episode. National championships are coming.
National championships are in our future.
Woo!
All right. Well, nothing else to say there. That was a fun season, a season to remember. Hope everyone enjoyed the season and listening to this podcast and just being a part of Bobcat Nation as we made this run as we did. Thanks, everyone, for listening all season long. We're going to take a break after this, regardless of what Foley's talking about, starting to talk about next season. I will not be down for that, so we will be taking a break. You can always find us on Twitter, RRCatCast. You can always find us on the web at rrcatcast.com. You can always shoot us an email at rrcatcast@gmail.com. We'll do some off-season episodes, but don't worry. But one last thing. Thanks, Jeremiah Johnson, for being our awesome sponsor for the entire year. And Foley, let's end this with a Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.